If suffering from success was a person, it will be the Mexican sun god, Ricardo Martinez.
WBA Featherweight World Champion, Ricardo Martinez.
A super champion known by many names, from Omega to the Pride of Mexico and many more. Ricardo isn't just a boxer, but a symbol of strength in the featherweight division, as well as also his home country, Mexico. But to understand this character, we have to explore his past. You know what? This is the perfect time to take a break. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Enjoy. There will be manga spoilers all the way to chapter 14-13. If you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have any character that you want to see us cover, let us know down in the comments below. But on that note, as a child coming from a lineage of mountain workers, Ricardo spent most of his youth in the mountains of Mexico. Similar to Ippo, his upbringing played a role in providing him with the tools that he would later require to become a great boxer. With Ippo growing up on the boat, carrying heavy loads, and in Ricardo's case, with him growing up in the mountains, his lung capacity would be naturally better than those that grew up in lower altitudes, which would give him an advantage in drawn-out fights. At some point in his childhood, Ricardo came across Bill Stewart with boxing gloves in hand, asking him how it feels to be strong. Again, very similar to Ippo, the fight between these two I feel like is destined. It has to happen, but this is not an Ippo comeback video.
WBA Featherweight Champion, Ricardo Martinez.
By the age of 21, he had already been crowned WBA Featherweight World Champion, and as time passed, he started to be known as the one who takes everything from those who challenge him. In one of his early defenses as a young champion, he was faced with a boxer we are all familiar with, a strong Japanese challenger who was full of confidence and promise. But when he was faced with the sun god, Eiji Date was forced to bow out in the second round, returning from Mexico empty-handed and retired from the world of boxing. And as time passed, with him being more of an established champion in his hometown of Mexico, Ricardo came to be known as a national hero. During and after the match against Eiji Date, amongst the crowd of young children outside watching, one of them had been living in the slums and really hated him. He was annoyed by how everybody looked up to him. After some time passed, he started having Ricardo as his very goal. And that kid was another fighter we're very well aware of, none other than the Mexican Grim Reaper, Alfredo González. Rising up in the rankings and twice facing the super champion in his later defenses, losing both times to the undefeated champion, making Alfredo's goal to be the only three-time challenger versus Ricardo. But as we know, the Tiger of Nani will put a stop to those ambitions.
WBA 世界フェザー級チャンピオンリカルド・マルチネス62戦62勝 58KO 無敗なんだこの戦績はパーフェクトじゃないか
With an unblemished record of 62 consecutive wins, 58 knockouts, and 0 losses, and a reputation that has earned him the title of the Hero of Mexico. In a sport where even the greatest have fallen, Ricardo is faced with a samurai that he has faced early in his reign as champion. None other than the man who lost it all in a 2-round affair in Mexico, Eiji Date. After rebuilding his career, now with the added knowledge of experience, he believed it was time for him to get his revenge versus the Untouched King. And for us viewers, our first interaction with the champion was him arriving in Japan for his fight versus Date. But before the fight, he requested a sparring match versus the Japanese champion, Makunouchi Ippo. This was their first fated interaction, and the super champion easily dispatched the young Japanese champion and his Dempsey roll. It was time for the highly anticipated match, and at this point we honestly believed Date could bring the belt back to Japan. But after a 10-round match, the undefeated King secured himself a KO victory versus the former Japanese champion, effectively retiring him. After the Alfredo vs Ippo fight, Ricardo's side refused to accept Alfredo's request for a rematch, as they had nothing to gain from a request from a 2-time Ricardo victim. Later, when Ricardo went for a public sparring match, he was faced with the Mexican killer, Sendo Takashi, who was ranked 3rd in the WBA. Ricardo qualified him to be his sparring partner and requested him to step into the ring. Ricardo dominating the spar for 2 rounds. In the middle of the 3rd round, Ricardo went down for the first time in his boxing career. With his knee touching the canvas, Sendo has shook up the world. Despite Ricardo's coach's effort in wanting to cover up by telling the reporters that Sendo pushed down the champ, Ricardo noted to the reporters that he didn't even need the pictures to prove what they saw happen. This just goes to show the class and character of the man. Ricardo noticed that Alfredo was about to get into the fight with Sendo, for the sparring match. Ricardo stopped them and suggested they fight on a bigger stage. Ricardo told them to settle in Mexico City in 3 months as a semi-final for his own title defense. In return, Ricardo offered the champion, or rather the victor of that match, a right to challenge him to a title defense. Sendo, not missing a beat, pointed out to how pretentious the champion has been by thinking he is invincible and he would not lose in his upcoming title defense, claiming that Ricardo was undefeated because he had not fought him yet. This statement caused Ricardo to laugh, thinking how amusing Sendo was for thinking the undefeated does not equal invincible. Before the Alfredo versus Sendo fight, Ricardo received information that both Sendo and Alfredo had fought Ippo in a brutal match in their past, with Eiji Date also being involved in the mix. Ricardo noted how he had heard Ippo's name from time to time despite his world ranking disappearing, as if the world revolves around young Dempsey role wielder. After watching Sendo defeat Alfredo in the 4th round by knockout, Ricardo arrived at the ring for his title defense versus the former WBC Featherweight Champion Billy McCullum. Feeling the heat that Sendo and Alfredo left, he was left feeling apologetic that he is unable to reach such heat, as he hopes McCullum would answer his high expectations that he has for him. Truly a man suffering from success. Even at the end of the McCullum fight, Ricardo was left disappointed that again he cannot be tested. Ricardo left the ring as he pondered how he does not wish for fame or fortune, only for someone to show him how truly strong he was and to get closer to the heart of boxing. Enter the man that will bring back his joy. Arguably his greatest challenger, the young man from Indonesia, Wally. Shameless plug. We have done a character analysis on Wally, and it's in the description down below, also at the end of the video, so watch that. I think you will like it. We have also a Sendo video from back in the day, I guess. But yeah, let's get back to the video. This was set to be the Super Champion's 23rd title defense against Wally. During the press conference, Ricardo claimed that the belt would not change hands. Ricardo looking unbothered as Wally stuck out his tongue at him, before the challenger confessed that he does not care about the belt, only the exciting to fight the strongest man in the world. When Wally claimed that it will be a fun match, Ricardo noted how none of the boxers he's ever faced had said his match was going to be fun.
ボクシング界の歴史に後世にわたり名前を残すことは間違いありません。メキシコからやってきたスーパーチャンプ。
When the actual fight came, Ricardo was caught off guard when he walked into the ring for his title defense to find the Dempsey role wielder Ippo, who was standing next to Wally, left him wondering why was Ippo there. But as the match began, the audience were surprised as the national hero was on the defensive for the first couple of rounds against an unorthodox fighter. And as the 6th round of this grueling affair began, both fighters put out a great show for a bedazzled audience. But after showcasing a world-class level of exchange of feints, jabs, smashes, and more, Ricardo ended the 6th round trilla in Mexico with a counter, resulting in the ref ending the fight and Ricardo's victory, defending his WBA title for the 23rd time. But as Ricardo walked over to Wally's corner, he remembered how this was the first time somebody stood at the same peak as him. Thinking Wally is amazing, but guesses he won't be able to tell him that. Wally regained his consciousness and stuck out his tongue at Ricardo, proclaiming that he had won. As Wally left with his seconds, Ricardo heard sounds of fists crackling and saw Sendo glaring at him outside the ring. Ricardo walked away thinking, Vamos, Tigre. With an unblemished record of 70 consecutive wins, 0 draws, 0 losses, a reputation that has earned him the title, the pride of Mexico, in a sport where even the greatest have fallen. Ricardo stands as a pure testament of time and unyielding dominance. Ricardo Martinez's legacy is cemented as one of the greatest in the sport. Will the sun god Ricardo Martinez ever get dethroned? Only time can tell. But let us know what you think of the featherweight undefeated king, and what you think the story has in store for him. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have any Ippo character or topic you want us to cover down below in the comments, or rather drop it down below in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thumbs out.